perspectives on AI, ML, data science, and IoT. In continuation, 2 weeks national level short term training program on full stack AI and deep learning practitioner program planned and scheduled from May 17th to June 19th in association with Academic Staff College KLEF. Prayer honors the God to acknowledge, exalting the power, to adore the providence, and to secure the aid. Let's begin with International Faculty Development Program by seeking God's blessings and lightening the lamp with a prayer song. I request the faculty to start the prayer song. I request Rajashekar sir.
Rajshekar is there.
Just calling him. I request Rajashekar sir to share the presentation. We continue with the program.
बुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Thank you so much, sir. I take privilege to introduce our KL deemed to be used university. Established in 1980, KLEF is a pioneer in the field of engineering education and research in India. KLEF has been declared as deemed to be university by MHRD, Government of India, in the year 2009. KLEF is accredited by National Assessment Accreditation Council (NAC) as A++ grade university, and it is recognized by Department of Scientific and Industrial Research as public funded research institute. KLEF also has collaborations for conducting joint research with number of institutions around the globe. KLEF received the Best Educational Institute Award in the engineering and facilitates good number of academic and research laboratories, industry collaborations, and center of excellences in the campus. And it continues its piece of success activities by facilitating the needy in this COVID pandemic. I would like to introduce the Department of ECS. Department of Electronics and Computer Science was started in the academic year 1999. This discipline is unique, featuring the course of both computer science and electronics engineering. The department has eminent faculty from both areas to train the students with the current technological trends. The department has a well-equipped with state-of-art of embedded system lab and computer center. Apart from this, the department has a DST FIST-funded Internet of Things Excellence Center. Active research is going on in the areas of web technologies, embedded systems, Internet of Things, and the cybersecurity. The aim and scope of this IFDP is this IFTP and STTP aims to provide a premier interdisciplinary platform for the researchers, practitioners, and educators to learn and discuss more recent innovations, trends, and concerns, as well as the practitioner challenges encountered and the research perspectives in the areas of AI, ML, data science, and IoT. It comprises of technical series presentations, video demonstrations, lab-based software experiments, and experiments which is fetched with advanced embedded platforms, software using Python, AWS cloud platforms, and deploying IoT applications will lead to the scope of the program. Over 40 objectives are framed to facilitate impart and predicting the analytics during the program. A vital role is expected to develop high performance culture in the department by doing specific and clear work expectations, communicating with everyone the targets and facilitating overall the performance and improving is being handled by Dr. M. Sivaganga Prasad Garu, Program Chair, Professor, HOD, Department of ECS. I request you, sir, to initiate the inaugural session with the curtain riser.
Yeah, thank you, Krishnaveni.
Thank you, sir.
Respected chief guest for today's function, Dr. Lalit Singh, scientist, NPCIL, Baba Atomic Research Center. Guest of honor, Dr. N. Venkatram Garu, Pro Vice Chancellor, KL University, Dean, Skill Development, and Principal Academic Staff College, KL University, Dr. A. Srinath Garu, Principal, College of Engineering, KL University, Dr. K. Subbarao Garu, Director, Industry Connect, KL University, Dr. Prabhakar Garu, and my colleague HOD, the advisor of this faculty development program and SCTP, HOD Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Dr. M. Suman, last but not least, all the participants come over here attending through online for this fabulous program. Good morning to one and all. It is my privilege and honor to take this opportunity to invite you for this faculty development program of 3-week international level on research perspectives on AI, AML, data science, and IoT, which is along with that, we are also conducting this HTTP program also on the deep learning. So definitely I must thank everyone who are participated in this particular program, and I must thank our authority and management for sponsoring financial support to this particular program. Especially the academic staff college is extending its wonderful support from beginning onwards. I must thank Principal Garu and the Pro Vice Chancellor also in this regard. And I must congratulate all the organizers who are involved in this fabulous program for great success of this FDP as well as HTTP. And as per this FDP concerned, we have received a very tremendous response from all over India, not only in India, abroad also. About 2015 participants are registered for this program, and we about 1650 registrations are confirmed for this particular program. I am very happy about this particular wonderful participation to this particular program. Not only the participants from abroad, especially from Bangladesh and Malaysia, also participated in this particular program. You know, from the beginning onwards, Department of Electronics and Computer Science is conducting various kinds of activities for the sake of benefits of all the participants. Department of ECE, Electronics and Computer Science, is one of the long-standing departments in our university. It is a blended department giving equal importance to both hardware as well as software. Having electronics and computer science background equally, we are prioritizing both electronics and computer science from the beginning onwards. Department of ECS is maintaining 100% of placement track record from beginning onwards. And this year also, department is having a very good demand by various companies to recruit, because even in this pandemic situation, almost all the companies are recruiting very limited candidates. Those are having all-round development. But in our department is having a equal priority for both software and hardware. That's what our department students are well placed in very good companies, in very good package, in topmost companies. That is one of the hallmarks of in our department. And Department of ECS is a FIST sponsored department. We have a very good IoT Excellence Center, and about 65% of our faculty are doctoral degrees in both electronics and computer science, and majority of the professors are having these funded projects. This, with the help of these funded projects, our faculty as well as students are getting benefit in research perspective also. So with this, I must thank everyone once again for participating. I must thank everyone for accepting our invitation to participate in this program. Thank you very much once again for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Krishna.
Suman, sir, are you get the privilege to unmute?
I got it, Amma.
Yeah. Just let me introduce her. The strongest barrier of the faculty, he leads by example, the spokesperson for the faculty and the department administration, and governs, communicates accurately the university policy, is driven by Dr. M. Suman, HOD ECE KLEF. I request Suman sir to cherish the participants. I request Suman sir to speak a few words in the inaugural session.
Good morning, one and all. Thank you very much, Mr. Madam.
Thank you, sir.
Honorable Principal, Dr. Subbarao Garu, Dean Skill Development and Principal Academic Staff College, Dr. Srinath sir, and my beloved HOD, Dr. MSc Prasad sir, and all the participants, professors who have joined from our university and the faculty from all the departments of KL University. Good morning, one and all. It's my privilege to talk to you all in this big. It's a very big faculty development program which has been organized by Department of Electronics and Computer Engineering. Basically, it's a small department, but it does the wonders in the university. So I congratulate all the team members who have been doing this work for the past 2 weeks. And I congratulate the head of the department, Dr. MSc Garu, for organizing such a big event where the number of participants are like more than 1,500. In turn, to be precise, I request all the faculty members whoever have attended this program, please see that you'll be trained in such a way that whatever that we get from the program, we should take it to the student level. I hope this program will not be like faculty will not be sitting as a spectators. Try to have interactive sessions, try to involve in the FDP, try to clarify your doubts, and see that the information that you get from here should go down to the student level. This is on one side, and the other part is this program will help you in enhancing your research capabilities. So I request you all to be sincere. Please do attend this program and make this program a grand success. Last but not the least, I would like to thank Dr. Lalit Singh Garu for accepting our invitation and going to have his session today. And I would like to thank Dr. Kisravani for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. The man who leads and motivate teachers to provide the quality education and communicate proactively during the large, small, and one-to-one meetings and maintain morale within the KLEF campus, only possible by Dr. K. Subbarao Garu, Principal, College of Engineering, KLEF. On this eve, inviting you, sir, to give the chunks of valuables for the inaugural session.
Very good morning to one and all. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere thanks on behalf of the university to Dr. Lalit Singh Garu for accepting our invitation and participating in this as the chief guest. Already, my colleague Mrs. Krishnaveni has mentioned about salient features of this university. It started in 1980-81 as an engineering college. Now this is one of the top universities in the country, not only basing on the NAC A++ accreditation, but also even the NERF rankings currently what this university is enjoying. It is 41st ranked university under the category of universities. Even as an engineering college, in 2008, when we went for NAC accreditation as an engineering college, we were given 3.76 on 4 scale, It was a remarkable achievement as an engineering college, and still as an engineering college, that record is with the name of Kone Lakshmaya College of Engineering. In this journey from 1980-81 academic year onwards till date, the efforts of every faculty member in this university and the directions what this university continuously gets from the management in taking to further heights is worthy to mention here. And every department in this engineering college, they conduct such programs, faculty development programs, with the support from the academic staff college in this university. And this university is driving its faculty members and students for excelling in research. All the programs, whatever we conduct in this university, we conduct them for ensuring the progress of the student, not only just in the academics. We give equal emphasis for the development of the student in academics, overall personality development, industry institute interaction, research, and of late we started giving a lot of emphasis for imparting skills also to the students. Skills also have been made as a part of the curriculum, and by the time the student leaves the university, we can confidently say that the student is equipped with all the skills that are required for the student to join an industry or to go for higher studies. All our programs are embedded in accordance with this particular direction what we are foreseeing for the students. I congratulate the Department of Electronics and Computer Science, the the head of the department, Dr. Sivaganga Prasad Garu, coordinator, Dr. KVD Sagar, supported by Mrs. Sridevi, Dr. Ramesh Kumar, and all the faculty members associated with this wonderful 3-week international faculty development program on research perspectives on AI, ML, data science, and IoT. Needless to mention about the importance of each domain that is mentioned for this particular training program. Of late, a lot of research currently is going on across the world in these domains of machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, and IoT. I appreciate the efforts of the department, and also I thank the academic staff college, Principal Academic Staff College, Dr. Srinath, for associating this with this wonderful 3-week program. And really, I am extremely happy by listening the head of the department that more than 1,600 participants are there across, not only from India, but also across various countries of the world. And I wish this program, 3-week program, a grand success. I thank our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. N. Venkatram Garu, for his wonderful support. And I thank sincerely our Honorable President, Sri Koner Sachinarayan Garu, for encouraging every department from the beginning to implement such programs in this university. I wish this program a grand success, and I thank the department for giving me an opportunity to participate in this inauguration session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful support and the motivation towards the program. As we embark on new era with skill development, Principal Academic Staff College consistently raises the bar in higher education as an award-winning educator, leading expert in his field, and respected mentor who has paved the impact on academia. Dr. A. Srinath Garu for IFDP 2021. I request you, sir, to grace the session.
Thank you. Respected Professor K. Subbarao Garu, the Principal, College of Engineering, Head of the Department of ECS, Head of the Department of ECE, the distinguished Chief Guest, Dr. Lalit Singh, and all the other participants and faculty members. I wish a warm welcome to all of you. And I'm very happy to note that the Department of ECS has come forward in organizing such a wonderful faculty development program and a STTP. The Academic Staff College, no doubt, will be giving the required support and extending all the participation certificates and everything. But the basic requirement of this faculty development program, especially in the niche areas of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, and Internet of Things, is mainly focused towards enriching your knowledge as well as leading all of the participants towards certain technology latest advancements which are happening right now, and making them to be practiced and imbibed into your regular day-to-day academics, so that ultimately the young budding technocrats, that is the students, will be getting benefited out of that and will be able to get trained and become tailor-made for the requirements of the industry. So as in my role of skill development as well as in my role of academic staff college, I am trying to blend both of these things together so that at one side my students will be getting the required skills through the required training provided to the faculty. So I hope that all the participants will take up the deliberations very interestingly and will involve with lot of interaction, and the deliberations of this faculty development program, if there are faculty from KL University, there are faculty from everywhere across the country, as was told by the head of the department. So wherever you are, the student should get ultimately benefited from all of you, the faculty members attending this FDP. So thank you one and all, and wish you all a very happy and very good stay for this faculty development program. Be interactive, stay safe, and thank you one and all.
Thank you very much, sir. Alongside of a regular teaching and research, the executive head of the campus, student, academic, and educational affairs partner, and increased the trend among the older universities. And we feel honored to invite the today's guest of honor and backbone of the Department of ECS since 1999, the Pro Vice Chancellor of KLEF, Dr. N. Venkatram Garu, to speak the opening remarks about IFDP 2021-22. I request Venkatram sir to inaugurate the session.
Hey, Sari joined.
Krishnan ma'am, will you please continue to the next.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Please ask to raise the curtain, then we'll start the session.
Yes, ma'am. I request HOD sir for the inaugural session with a curtain riser. Dr. M. Sivakanga Prasad Garu for the curtain riser. Thank you very much, ma'am. Today's chief guest, Dr. Lalit Singh, PhD in IIT Bhubaneswar, scientist, NPCIL, BARC, Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India. I take my privilege to introduce today's chief guest with a few words. Dr. Lalit Kumar Singh is a scientist in reactor safety analysis, section of Department Atomic Energy, Government of India since 20 years and has distinction of working in pressurized heavy water reactors and light water reactors. His assignments over years range from the design, development, testing, and related research and site validation of the safety for critical computer-based systems of Indian nuclear power plants. He also a faculty in Nuclear Training Center, and he has a research interest in software engineering, software reliability, networking, data structures, image processing, system reliability, safety, and mathematical modeling. His key experiences are software reliability of computer-based systems of nuclear power plants, image processing, deep learning, and computer failure data analysis, human reliability analysis, etc. He published over 41 papers in various reputed journals of IEEE transactions and in queue of papers of 8 in IEEE software technologies and various international conferences. And he is a reviewer for various journals like IEEE Transactions on Control System Technologies and Industrial Informatics, Nuclear Sciences, Nanobiosciences, Educationals, and IEEE Transactions on Technical Technologies and Society, and many more IEEE journal reviewers. And he is also a member of ISI Thomson rooted BRIS Journal of Advancements in Science and Technology, and he is a member of IEEE sponsored workshop for Big Data Analytics with Adobe, and he has a lifetime membership in Indian Nuclear Society. He delivered various guest lectures, and he's also delivered various guest sessions over 136 number of guest sessions he handled, and today he is a chief guest. I warmly welcome Dr. Lalit Singh ji for this today's IFDP 2021-22 program, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. So, can I talk?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, all the organizing committee members and dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. So, it is an honor for me and a great pleasure to be here to share this important occasion with you. First, I would like to congratulate each and every organizing committee members and participants for this occasion, and I would also like to thank all the organizing committee members who has invited me as a chief guest. So this the theme of this program is very important and very interesting because it covers all the aspects of like the machine learning in artificial intelligence, data science, which basically the people are using in a very related fashion, but each and every term has a very remarkable discrimination. So if you look like the applications of this artificial intelligence or the application of machine learning, now it is almost it is an interdisciplinary domain, and it is catering almost all the applications, all the engineering applications, all the medical applications. If you see in the medical sector, it has a very important a very important role to play. For example, retina scan. We can make the use of the artificial intelligence for the retina scan, and from the retina scan we can predict whether what is the age of that particular patient, what will be the failure, what is the failure rate of that like particular eye, or when this eyes, what treatment is required. So all these predictions are basically based on machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence. And machine learning, although if you see like it is a very, even from the childhood, we use these machine learning concepts, although it has been introduced later in this engineering field. But if you see, if you can recall, like when any child or when any kid touches any cup in which the hot tea is there, hot tea is there. So when he touches that cup, suddenly he feels a sensation of burning. And next time when you will go with the same cup, he will always recall and he will not touch that cup. So it's a kind of machine learning concept, it's basically which we have started realizing it into our like to solve our real-time problems, to solve or in the real-time applications. And artificial intelligence, basically where we are trying to improve, it is a statistical model where we always try to improve to make our predictions, because it is possible like our predictions is not very accurate. So to so for more and more accuracy, we always learn from the failures or from the feedback. So I think all these terms will be covered because it's a 3 weeks program. So all these terms will be covered by the various speakers. The final word, I would again like to thank to all the organizing committee members, Professor Prasad, Dr. Sagar, Dr. Suman, and all the HODs and all the management committee members of this university. So I hope the participants will enjoy each and every session, and they will definitely be benefited for their particular domain, in whether they are pursuing some research or some other industry persons. They can apply the concepts into the real practice or to solve the real life problems. So thank you all of you. So I should start my talk right now, or it is a break?
So just we'll have a 5 minutes of short break, sir. Then we can start by sharp 10:50, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Dear participants, please have a break of 5 minutes. Immediately we'll start the FDP by sharp 10:50. Be on the link, and we'll start the session by 10:50 sharp. Thank you so much. Lalitji, I think you are ready to share your presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before that, just I would like to thank you for the most wonderful IFTP 2021. It was a fruitful and amazing time for me and my colleagues to acknowledge to all the participants for joining and made this inaugural a grand success. So now the platform is open for Lalitji for you. Your platform is ready and you are the presenter, sir, right now.
Thank you.
And you can start your session, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. So are slides visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll be talking on deep thinking for safety analysis of safety critical systems. So to start with, let me introduce the safety critical systems. So safety critical systems are the systems, the failure of which can lead to the catastrophic disasters, or even it can lead to the loss of human life. And you can see there are the various applications which are safety critical in nature. For example, aerospace, nuclear domain, military domain, defense domain, space domain, automobiles, medicals, healthcare, and so on. And because the failure of these systems can lead to the very severe consequences, it is very much essential to perform the safety analysis of such system. So that to ensure at all the times the system is safe to use. So I'll be using the deep thinking mechanism for performing the safety analysis of such systems. Let us go through today's agenda. The first we will introduce about like the safety and where it is being used and what are the various methods for this safety analysis. Then I'll be introducing a mathematical formalism known as Petri nets. And the Petri nets was introduced in 1960s by a German PhD scholar to solve the various complex problems and to embed the stochastic behavior of the systems. Now, if I talk the stochastic behavior, that is very important to understand. If you want to categorize any process more broadly, you can categorize it in the form of deterministic processes and stochastic processes. The deterministic processes are those processes whose outcomes are 100% guaranteed. For example, if I drop a pen, I can 100% guarantee it is going to fall down on the earth because of the gravitational force that is acting on it. And there is no probability associated with it. But for example, if I want to attend a meeting in Hyderabad at 4 p.m. for example, and for which I have to catch a flight at 12 p.m. from Mumbai airport, considering all the traffic conditions and all the other worst scenarios. But then also it may be possible that I may miss my meeting, and there could be multiple factors. The factors that include maybe when I reach the airport, I find like the flight got cancelled, a flight got delayed, Maybe in between, because of the traffic conditions, I might miss the flight. So these could be the various factors associated, and hence we talk in terms of probability. Although we plan everything in advance, but there is a possibility to miss or to deviate from that plan. So those systems are known as stochastic systems, and generally all the human-made systems are stochastic in nature, because in fact we talk about the human reliability. So when we are talking about the human reliability, it means if he is not deterministic in nature, definitely all the systems which is created by the human being will be stochastic in nature. And when stochastic in nature, it means there is some randomness in the system. And we don't know about what is randomness. Randomness means we don't know its unpredicted behavior. The reason of the unpredicted behavior at particular point of time, because it is behaving as it is not behaving as per the intended prediction or intended specification. And hence the PatriNet was introduced to capture the stochasticity behavior of that particular system. And when you are dealing with the safety critical systems where the precision of the predictions are very important. So especially it is now very much used in such kind of systems, or the control systems of the industries. So we will see, then we will talk about the case study, and where we'll be taking a case study and we can see how we can perform the safety analysis on that case study, and that case study will be modeled using the PatriNets. We will see the working mechanism of the PatriNets, the basic constructs of the PatriNets, and then we can apply all the properties of the PatriNets on the case study to perform the safety analysis, and then we can conclude our session. So are slides changing, right? Slides are changing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
So when we perform the safety analysis, one thing we should understand, it is important to stress the system, because although we design our system considering all the operating conditions, but then also we try to stress our system. And because the catastrophic failures may lead to danger to human life. And when we talk about the safety critical systems in today's era, because of the increased computational power of the software, we always construct using software. And we know, like, software cannot harm anyone, but it can control the hardware or the actuators, and the actuators can definitely harm the environment. So therefore, the software safety must also be considered as a part of the overall system safety. So when you talk about the system, it consists of subsystems and their interfaces, and it may cater the heterogeneous components. Some may be the software, some may be hardware, some may be firmwares, right? So when you talk about the disasters, so these are often result of multiple failure sequences which involve hardware, software, and human failures. Now, let us talk about the PatriNets. So as I said, the PatriNet was introduced in 1962 by C.A. Patry. In his dissertation, he was a German PhD scholar. And after going through the thesis, the people started thinking like, because in 1970 was the era where the concurrent systems and parallel computation systems, and the systems parallel systems were under development. And so MIT USA was trying to understand whether this modeling construct can be useful to model the concurrent or parallel systems. So with this objective, in 1970, MIT USA conducted a conference on concurrent systems and parallel computation. And conclusions were very fruitful, and the people were striving and they were more eager to know the related methods of the patronets. So to know the modeling capabilities as well as to strengthen the modeling capabilities, and with this objective again they decided to meet after 5 years. So in 1975, again MIT USA conducted a conference on patronets and the related methods. And after that, it was introduced into the industries, and they started using this patrinet mathematical formalism to model their systems. And but for that, they had to give some training to those recruitees, and for that they had to really spare the time of 6 months, because modeling really expertise needs an expertise. And considering the need in the industry of this mathematical formalism, Germany started a course on general net theory of processes and systems in 1979. And thereafter, it gained popularity, and people from different domain also started thinking whether it can be useful in that particular domain, in their specific domain. So with this objective in 1980, France conducted the first European workshop on applications and theory of patronage. And then scientists and researchers started strengthening the modeling capabilities. For example, if they want to cater the real life applications, definitely the response time plays an important role, which is one of the important attributes for the performance of that particular system. And hence, like the patrinet must be there where we can embed the timing information as well, and it can give the results in terms of some time, probably the response time. So in this way, considering the need, the authors and the scientists was coming out from the with a different flavor of patronets. And in 1985, the first international workshop on timed patronet, especially where we can introduce, we can embed the timing information into the patronets, was conducted by the Italy. So although this is not a very exhaustive list, but it covers some of the important milestones through which the patronet started becoming very popular. And so now let us see what are the various applications it can cater. So you can see like it can cater almost all kind of applications, and it can use to measure all the dependability attributes. Dependability attributes in the sense like performability, safety, reliability, security, usability, and so on. Now let us see the working mechanism of the patronet. So for just to demonstrate the working mechanism, I have considered a very small example before taking a real case study, so that the participants will be able to understand the working mechanism, and they can, when I will be demonstrating it on the real case study, they can appreciate. So suppose I want to model a very basic chemical reaction, that is hydrogen and oxygen, that gives water. It's a very basic chemical reaction. And now let us first try to understand the basic modeling construct of this patronet. So this figure, if you are able to see, is a patronate figure, and you can see there are the three big circles. And in this figure, I am representing one circle to represent the hydrogen, one circle to represent the oxygen, and one circle to represent the water. And these circles are known as places. So there are the three places in this figure. Now, next, you are able to see the rectangular bar, which is known as transition. And in this figure, there is only one transition, that is T. And the places can be connected to the transitions, and transitions can be connected to the places. But noticeably, there cannot be direct connection between the places and between the transitions. Now next, you can see there are the embedded circles in the places. For example, the hydrogen place contains two embedded circles, and these circles are known as tokens. So I'm representing these tokens with for the number of atoms, because I know hydrogen contains two atoms. So I have represented these by two tokens in the hydrogen place. Similarly, the oxygen place also contains two tokens, which are representing that oxygen contains two atoms. Now, there is another modeling construct known as directed arc. So the place can be connected to transitions, and transitions can be connected to place with the help of these directed arcs. So if you are able to see, there are the three directed arcs in this figure. One is connecting hydrogen place to transition T, one is oxygen place to transition T, and one is transition T to water place. Now, next, there is a weight of the arc. I will show the significance of each and every modeling construct, but first I'm concentrating on the modeling constructs. So the weight, so you can see the numeric number that is assigned on every arc in this figure. For example, the arc which is connecting hydrogen place and transition T contains the weight 2. These numeric number is basically representing the weight of that particular arc. And where I have not put the numeric number, for example, the arc which is connecting the oxygen place and transition T, by default it is treated as 1. So the weight of the arc which is connecting oxygen place and transition T is 1. Similarly, the weight of the arc which is connecting transition T and water place is 2. Now these are the modeling construct, and basically this represents the initial state of the system, if you can see this figure, and which is represented by the distribution of the tokens among all the places. So basically the distribution of the tokens among all the places represent the state of that particular system. So here the initial state of the system is 2, 2, 0, because 2, 2, 0 is the distribution of the tokens among these tokens. 2 tokens are in hydrogen place, 2 tokens are in oxygen place, and 0 token is in water place. So 2, 2, 0 is the state of that particular system. It is also known as marking. the terminology we named, the name has been given in the Patrinet, is known as marking. Now, definitely it needs to be now converted into the water. So it means the state of the system needs to be changed, right? So the idea is, like in the Patrinets, we all just try to decompose the system into the various possible states. So basically this is the initial state, and which it has to, when it will be converted into the water, its state will change. And now when will a state, as I said, the state is the representation of the distribution of the tokens among the places, among all the places. So now the tokens will move from the, so when the state will change, the state can only be changed when the transition is in enabled state, when any of the transition in that Patrinet figure is in enabled state. Now I request you all the participants to understand very carefully, because now the logics, the similar logics will be used while we will be taking the case study. So as I said, any transition must be in enabled state.
Sir,
Yeah,
screen is not visible, sir.
screen is
PPT
not
not
visible.
shown.
Lalitji, just now you have been stopped the presenter. Yes, sir. One more time, I'm giving you the presenter, sir. Yes, sir. Now you are the presenter.
Actually,
Once again,
somebody
it has
has stopped me to make the presenter, I think. It was, the message was coming like this. Anyway, I need to share it again.
yes, sir.
Yeah, so now it is visible.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So I was telling, now the state has to be changed, and it has to be converted into water. So as I said, the distribution of the tokens for the representation of the state. So any state can only be changed when any of the transition is in enabled state. And what is the enabling criteria of the transition? Is that all the input places must contain sufficient number of tokens. So if in this figure, if I say my transition is in enabled state, for which the eligibility criteria must be like all the input places, means the hydrogen place and the oxygen place, because these are the input places, must contain sufficient number of tokens. And who will decide the sufficiency criteria of the tokens? Now the role of the weight of the arc comes into place. So the weight of the respective arc will define the eligibility criteria or the sufficiency criteria of these tokens. So you can see in this figure, the weight of the arc, which is connecting hydrogen place and transition T, is 2. So it means hydrogen place must contain at least 2 number of tokens. Similarly, the weight of the arc, which is connecting oxygen place and transition, is 1. So oxygen place must contain at least 1 number of tokens. And hence, this eligibility criteria fulfills in this scenario. So T here is in enabled state, and now it will fire. When any transition is in enabled state, it fires, and then the movement of tokens from the input place to output place occurs. But how many tokens will be moved out from all the input places and how many will be deposited in all the output places will be decided by the weight of the respective arcs. For example, here the 2 tokens will be moved out from the hydrogen place when transition T will fire, because the weight of the arc which is connecting hydrogen place and transition T is 2, and 1 token will moved out from the oxygen place, because the weight of the arc which is connecting oxygen place and transition T is 1. So it means in total, if you see, the 3 tokens will be moved out if you sum up the number of tokens from all the input places. And how many will be deposited in the water place? Only 2 tokens will be deposited into the water place. So an interesting fact is that there is no law of conservation of tokens. The movement of the token or from the input places to the output places will be totally governed by the weight of the respective arcs. So now you can see the two tokens has been moved out from the hydrogen place, and 1 token has been moved out from oxygen place, and 2 has been deposited into the water place. So this is the next state, and it has been converted into the water. And now you can see transition T is not enabled. Why? Because all the input places must contain sufficient number of tokens, and now hydrogen is not containing any token, which should contain at least 2 number of tokens. Right? So now the state is 0, 1, 2. As I said, the distribution of the tokens are representation of the state of that particular system. So now this is a final state because no transition is in now enabled state, and hence the movement of the tokens can never happen, and which are basically responsible to change the state of that system. Right? So now let us try to take a case study of reactor protection system. I will explain the reactor protection system, but theoretically, it is that system which comprises of several safety electronics and mechanical components, which are known as nuclear safety components, to shut down the nuclear reactor in a safe manner in case of any trip parameter occurs. For example, what do you mean by trip parameters? If you consider the human, there are the various process parameters. For example, your blood pressure, your sugar level, your heart rate, your nerve rate. So all these are the process parameter, your hemoglobin, and they have the predefined range, normal range. And when your process parameter remain in your normal range, you are always in the safe state. And your entire system keeps on controlling these process parameters to be within range. But suppose any of your internal organ is not working properly, your process parameter may fluctuate, and which are basically your control system. So basically the control system fail to control your process parameters. Control systems are nothing but they basically try to control the process parameter within the normal range. When any parameter try to deviate, they try to bring back those process parameter into the normal range. So when the control parameter fails, basically what happens? The safety systems comes into the role. And what is the safety system? To take the medicines. Because your internal control system has failed, now the safe action has to be taken up by the medicine. So basically, in any industry, there are the various kind of systems. Information system just to show the information. The control systems, they are very important system because these systems are responsible to control the process parameter within the design limit. And the safety systems are more important than control system because in case of failure of control systems, definitely the safety, because this is our last barrier. Your safety system should act so that it will reach you in the safe state. And reactor protection system is a safety system, which basically, when control system in the nuclear reactor fails to bring back any process parameter which are known as trip parameter, then safety system will try to shut down the nuclear reactor to terminate the fission process that is going on. And because of the fission reaction, basically the nuclear energy, produces. So it is a shutdown system. And now let us see the instrumentation or the design of this shutdown system. Now you can see this figure. Let me explain this figure. In the right hand side, you can see there is a spherical structure. It is known as calandria, where the nuclear fission reaction is taking place. And the neutrons are the responsible entities to sustain the nuclear chain reaction. So here the nuclear fission reaction, and because I did this shutdown system wants to terminate this nuclear reaction. So basically we have to insert a poison. Poison means which can eat up all the neutrons so that it can terminate the chain reaction. And the nuclear reactor can reach to it can be shut down to reach to the safe state. So you can see the pipes the pipe that is going on from the calandria. And in this pipe, there are several holes so that when on demand, when it is required to shut down the nuclear reactor, all the poison will be injected inside this calandria. And which is connected, this pipe is connected, you can see, you can backtrack, it is connected to a tank known as poison tank, where basically the poison is filled up, which can eat the neutrons, right? So here it is a liquid poison, and you can see there is a floating ball over it because of the smooth injection of this poison into the calandria, so that it can, for the equipressure of this liquid, so that to ensure the integrity of the entire system. So this is a plastic floating ball. Now you can just backtrack where it is connecting. You can see like it is connecting to some set of valves, right? And we will see why these valves are. And you can see these set of valves are connecting to the helium supply tank. And helium, because it is an inert gas, it does not react with anybody, and it can create a pressure. So what happens? You just forget these set of valves for a while. You just imagine there is only one valve in this line, and which is normally in closed state. And this valve is operated by the relays through the program logics. And when there is a trip parameter, the computer basically operates the relay and open the valve, and then helium pressure will be passed through that valve to that floating ball, and which can pressurize this poison into the calandria. that can eat up all the neutrons and can stop your chain reaction. Now, but what would be the problem? What would be the issue if you would have considered only one valve? For example, there is a mechanical failure in the valve, and failure in the sense, if I talk in the term in failure, there can be various modes. For example, in this one mode in the valve is fail to open. It means when there is a demand to get it open, it is not opening up. It is in the closed state, but we require to inject the poison, and when it is not opening, then my chain reaction will keep on increasing and a severe disaster can be taken place. There can be the fuel melt, and which is where radiated fuel basically because of the uranium, and which can be exposed to the normal public. That can be a very dangerous to the normal public. And hence, when so what will be the next provision? The next provision is you can apply one valve in parallel, so that if one is not working, the other valve can be opened on demand, and the helium pressure can be passed through the other healthy valve. It means we have taken a precaution, we have taken a safety measure, basically, right? It is also a kind of deep thinking, although I'll be using in the modeling also, but it is a deep thinking, it is a human deep thinking, basically. So what I can do that, for this, I have just put a valve in the parallel to take care of the failure mode of the valve. Which failure mode? Fail to open. Now, in this case, if two valves are sufficient, what is the need of then other these valves? Now consider one more failure mode. When you have injected the entire poison, and again you have to restart your reactor, because after injection I can do the maintenance activity and I can find out the root cause which I have corrected, and then again I have to restart my reactor, because I cannot keep shutting down my reactor because of the economical point of view. If I shut down my reactor for 24 hours, it is $1 billion of loss. So what I have to do, I have to just now suppose with the set of only two valves in parallel, if another failure mode is any one valve is failed to close. Now, and if any one valve is failed to close, it means the helium supply will keep on passing, and it will keep on injecting into the calandria, which is not allowing us to restart our reactor. So this is the failure mode, which we have to cater to restart the reactor. So for this purpose, what we have think, let us try to put one more valve in the series, so that if one is failed to close, at least the another will be closed, and in this way we can stop the helium pressure into the poison tank, and we can restart our reactor. Now, but then it means in each line, let us put one more valve in series. That will serve the purpose. But why then these are two additional valves? Why these additional valves are there? So now suppose this first valve is leaking, and in the leaking it is building some of the pressure slowly. So for that, what we can do, let us put a vent valve so that whatever the pressure is building in this line, it can be released through the vent valve. So basically, I have put 2 vent valve in each line, and these vent valve remain in open condition during the normal operating condition of the nuclear reactor. And these, the quick opening valves, these valves will be in closed state during the normal opening condition. And when any trip parameter occurs, then first what we have to do, what action we have to do, we have to just first close all the vent valves, and then we have to open the quick opening valve fast, so that the poison can be injected. Why we have to close the vent valve? Otherwise, without opening, all the helium pressure will be went out into the atmosphere, and it would have failed to create a pressure on this floating valve. So first we have to close the vent valves and then open the quick opening valves. And when we have to restart, then again we have to do the reverse action. We have to open the vent valves and then we have to close the quick opening valves, right? So this is the important basically dynamic components, and definitely because the stochastic behavior is there, because definitely there is a probability associated with the set of valves whether it will be open or no. So we have to really do the safety analysis of this entire process, and we have to consider all these valve opening and closing process into the mathematical modeling and try to analyze it. So this is the Practitioner model of that valve actions, because those were the dynamic components. The static components are highly reliable, so you can ignore also like to perform the safety analysis, because these are the static in nature. Basically, any component which is dynamic in nature or whose state keeps on changing, they are always risky, because on demand you have to ensure whether the right state is getting changed or not, right? So now let us try to understand this Practitioner model of this shutdown system. So if you are able to see this figure, there is the first place PPD, which basically represent like any trip parameter deviates. It means there is a signal to stop the reactor. And then there is an directed arc. Interestingly, you can see the weight of each an arc is 1 in this figure, because it's a requirement of the model. And then there is, so suppose already there is a token like in the PPD, which basically represent like trip parameter has been deviated and there is a requirement to shut down the reactor. Now there is a TPD. It is basically a trigger to send the signal to create a logic condition. Logic condition in the sense, now what logics needs to be implemented? We have understood like trip parameter has been come up, and now we have to take the action to shut down the reactor, for which we'll have to actuate the multiple actuators. We'll have to send the signals to different actuators as per the defined logic. So all the logic condition will be created. So it represents TTPD. It represents the signal that is sent to create the logic condition and to energize the relays to close the vent valve, because our first step was to close the vent valves. And let us now move on the horizontal way. So PLC on means it will represent when the token will be in this place. It represents like logic condition has been created. And when it has been created, it has to be in the hold state. So this TTLCH, it triggers like signal to hold the logic condition in the created state. And PLCH is representing that now the logic condition has reached into the hold state. It is just like, you know, when some construction work is going on, there is a flag stating like the work is going on, you have to take the alternate path. It is just a flag. So it is keep on holding the logic condition. Now let us try to move on the vertical line. So from the TTPD, which was representing the signal sent to create a logic condition and to energize the relay to close the vent valves. So the logic condition phenomenon already we have seen in the horizontal line, the vertical line you can see PREVV, because now we have to close the vent valve. So basically it represents the relay energized to close the vent valves. Sorry. So then PVVC, it basically represents the trigger to close the vent valves. And PVVC, it when the token will be here, it represents like the vent valve has been closed. Now when the vent valve has been closed, the next action is to open the fast acting valve. So first we have to see whether the fast acting valve is in closed state or no, or open state. So at the initial state, always in the normal operating condition, the fast acting valve is in the closed state, which is represented by the token in the PFAVC. This place represent that fast acting valve is in closed state. And because it is an input to this TFAVO, and when the token will come in PVC, it means we have to pull, it will pull all these tokens from both the places and it will open the fast acting valve, and it will, the token will come into the PFAVO, which represents the fast acting valve or the quick opening valves get opened. And then the TFAVC. Now we can see like in the horizontal line, when the logic condition will be off, then what happens? We have to again restart the reactor. So what will happen? The PRDBV, it means it represents the relay will de-energize to open the vent valves, because we have to take now reverse action. So it will open the vent valve. First we'll have to open the vent valve, and then we'll have to close the quick opening valves. Then again the token will go with the transition, and the transition is TVVO. It represents the trigger to open the vent valve. And when the token will come into the PVVO, which represent the vent valve get opened. And this is the entire phenomenon. But a very interesting point that we have missed are two tokens, two places. One is PFAVCD, which basically represent the redundant information about the fast acting valve closure state. Because the fast acting valves are very important, and it is directly related to the safety, and hence we cannot rely on one information. So basically the two sensors we have taken, and in the one sense this signal is getting from the another sensor to know the current state of the fast acting valve. So initially you can see the redundant information in the redundant information also I have marked that the fast acting valve is in closed state. And similarly, the duplicate or the redundant information from the other from the redundant sensor is also telling the information about open state of the fast acting valve, which is represented by PFAVOD. Right. So this is the entire model, and definitely the modeling is not easy. We need to have a lot of expertise to model the system, and although it may be a time taking, but we should always ensure whether all the specification has been covered up in your model or not. Because if you will start with the wrong model, your analysis will definitely be wrong. Right? Now, next is so the first step is we have already modeled our system using Practitioner, and which this is because it is it represents the initial state of the system. You can see, and you can see the distribution of the token represent the initial state of the of the system, and you can see the tokens are existing in PPD, PFAVCD, and PFAVC. Only 3 places are containing the tokens. So only these places will be responsible basically to change the state, because the tokens are here only, and they can from here only they can transfer the tokens, right? But we have to look into like what all the transitions are in the enabled state. But the idea is we have to identify all the number of states, possible number of states. So what happened? This is the initial state, which is basically because there are the number of the places are very large. So only we have written the first state is PPD, PFAVCD, and PFAVC, because these places are only responsible to change the state because the token exists only in these places. So we can eliminate the rest of the places also. No issues. Now, now you can go back to this figure and you can see the transition TPD is only in enabled state. No other transition is in enabled state. You can see the condition of TVVC. Although one input place, PFAVCD is containing the sufficient number of token, but the another input place is not containing, that is PREBV, right? So here only one state is in, only one transition is in enabled state. So only this will be responsible to move the token from input places to output places. So the token will be moved from here to and will deposit to 2 places. One is PLC on and one is PREBV, because both the output R contains 1 bit. So one token will be deposited. And as I said, there is no law of conservation of the token. So you may be surprising, some of you may be surprising that only one token is there moving from inside, but how the 2 tokens are deposited? Because as I said, while we were discussing the working mechanism of the Practiners, the movement of the token from input places to output places will be totally governed by the weight of the respective arc assigned. So now the state will be, so you can see the after TTPD, transition, the state will be changed to from PPT. Only we have replaced PPT to PLC on and PRAVV, and rest of the tokens will not change. So the rest of the places are like this. So this is the next state of the system. And again, you can keep on deriving till you can reach to the final state. So this is known as the reachability graph, basically. And reachability graph, basically, it is a reachability graph. Basically, it identifies all the possible number of states that can occur in any particular system throughout the lifetime. For example, in the human machine, human is also a machine or a human system. What could be the possible number of states? The possible number of states could be running, sleeping, walking, talking, laughing, right? And so many. And you can identify the number of possible states, and then you can see what are the failure states or what are the risky states. For example, meeting an accident could be a risky state. And in this way, if you are able to find a mechanism where you can ignore these risky states, it means you can ensure the safety of that particular system. And for that, you have to perform a deep analysis, deep thinking, which can be automized also. That has been done also, the automation. So that I will be discussing shortly. But the ultimate crux is, first we have to identify the number of possible states by drawing the reachability graph. And the reachability graph can be drawn through the Practitioner working mechanism. And the way we have discussed, and then we can identify, we can analyze each and every state, because the representation of the states are the distribution of the tokens among those places, among all the places. And then we can analyze each and every state, and we can find whether this state is risk-free state or risky state. And if you feel, because analysis also require a lot of expertise and domain expertise, in fact. So the system analyst has to play a very key role. And maybe the modeler may be different, but the system analyst should always be a part of this analysis. And we have to analyze each and every state very deeply to identify whether this state is a safe state or this is a risky state. So let us try to perform this state analysis activity in this our example. You can see in these all the states, I have marked 2 states with the solid triangle in the left side, left upper side. And these states are known as are risky states. Why risky states? Let us try to understand. First, let us concentrate on S3, which I have marked as a risky state. You can see in this, there is a token in PLCH, which represents basically logic condition is on hold. PREVV, which is represent like to energize the vent valve. And PFAVCD, which is representing like the vent, like the fast acting valve is in closed state. So it is a redundant information because D is for duplicate and PFAV is coming from one sensor, it is coming from a redundant sensor. Now, you can see one noticeable fact is that although our logic condition is on hold state, it means the reactor needs to be tripped and the fast acting valve should be in open state. But here you can see the fast acting valve is in closed state, which is a very risky state, because when you find the logic condition is on hold state, definitely the fast acting valve should be always in the open state. So this is a very risky state. So you have to really deal with this state. So I have marked. We will see how we can deal with it. And then we have to again perform a deep thinking and see the state S6, which has the tokens in 4 places. And these 4 places are PLCH, which is the logic condition, which represents the logic condition is on hold state, and PFAVOD, which represent the fast acting valve is in open state. Through the redundant sensor, it is getting the information. And PVVC, it is vent valve in closed state, and PFAV, it is representing like fast acting valve is in closed state. So one noticeable fact you can see that PFAVOD and PFAVC, basically this is a controversial information, and this is not consistent information, because one sensor is showing that fast acting valve is in open state and one is showing fast acting valve is in closed state. So to whom we rely? And hence this is also a risky state which we need to tackle. And rest of the state we find there is no risk at all. So now let us see like how we can tackle these 2 states, because these are the risky states. And the idea is very simple. You can see, first let us consider the S3. You can see this S3 state is coming all the way from S2. And if you backtrack the S2, you can see from S2, one more state is emerging, that is S4. Parallelly, it means this and these 2 states are in parallel state, which is coming from 2 different transitions, firing of 2 different transitions. One is TTLCH and one is TVVC. So it means these transitions are in race condition, because these are the parallel transitions, right? So these are in race condition, and one transition is leading to the risky state and one is leading to the safe state. So it means if I can devise a mechanism that when these 2 transitions are in race condition, I can prioritize one transition. It means when TLCH and when TVVC transition are in race condition, I can prioritize TVVC, which can ensure always the firing of TVVC first, and it will not let TLCH fire. It means there will never be a possibility with the confrontation of S3. And in this way, we can lead to the safe state. We will see how we can do it. But let us try to analyze, let us try to put our thinking on it. And we can automate it. We can automate this deep thinking using hardware and software logics. Now, coming to S6, we can see like S6 was derived from the two states. One is from S3 and one is from S4. And because we have already ignored the S3, we have already taken the remedial action to avoid the S3. So now the S3 will never be confronted. So there is only the possibility for reaching the state S6 is only through the S4. So again, backtrack to the S4. And you can see like there are the two parallel transitions that are coming all the way from S4. One is coming to S6 and another is to S7. And S7 is a safe state. So again, we can apply the same logic. When these two transitions are in a race condition, I can prioritize the transition which is reaching towards S7 because that is a safe state. So you can see from the S4, there are the two transitions, two parallel transitions, that is TLCH and TFAVO. These are in race condition, and TLCH is leading to a risky state. So we can always avoid this transition to fire and we can prioritize the TFAVO so that we can ensure all the time like it will reach to the S7. So in this way, we can avoid the S6. So just to reiterate, the solution is very simple. We can find out first all the number of possible states throughout the operating life of the system, and we can identify the risky state. And we have seen how we can identify the risky state. And the system analyst has to play a lead role to identify the risky states. Now, coming towards the solution. How we can prioritize? So definitely we can do some enhancement in the model itself. And because we have to prioritize the TVVC when TLCH is in race condition. So what we can do? Whatever the transition we have to prioritize, just draw an arrow from that transition and connect additional place and put the tail of the arrow on the transition which has to prioritize, and connect an additional place and then again connect this additional place to the transition which I have to keep the low priority. So here in this way we can see like TVVC and TLCH, these two transitions, I'll have to prioritize the TVVC, and so I have put one additional place. So that now how it can solve my problem, how it can prioritize that transition TVVC. Because until there is no token in the TVVC, and I mean until there is until the TVVC will not fire, there cannot be the token in the additional place, which is basically the input place of that transition which I have to keep in the low priority. So until the token will not reach to its additional place, that low priority will never fire. And before this, the high priority transition would have already been fired, because after firing only the token will be going to the additional place. One is I1 and one is I2. I think I have forgotten to write I1 and I2 just to discrimination. Now similarly, the TFAVO and TLCH were also in the race condition. You can go back and see. And we have to now prioritize TFABO. So again, what you can do, you can put an additional place and you can connect it with the transition to which you have to give the least priority. And in this way, we can modify our model to ensure the safety, right? By performing a deep analysis or deep thinking. Now, how to implement it? So again, but I have to revalidate this model. I have to first do the model based verification. So again, I can draw the reachability graph, and when I draw the reachability graph, considering the additional I1 and I2 places, I find this reachability graph, and which is not containing any risky state now. And hence, this is the safe state. I'm ensuring like it is a safe state. I'll be discussing the implementation aspect, but let us first go through the modeling aspect. But every time while we are working on the engineering applications, we always strive to optimize the things. It means here also we have to see in what way we can optimize the process. Because as I said, the additional places that we have kept is only playing the role of safety. They are not playing any role of to perform any functional requirement of the system. So it means these are not required at all, but for the safety purpose, I have just put these places. So my computational complexity, but definitely will increase exponentially, because in the Practitioner, when you will read the property, any additional place will increase your computational complexity exponentially. And hence, what I can do is, because these are the two additional places, I can try by removing first I2, and then I can try drawing the reachability graph again, just to see whether only one additional place will work for my safety. If I am getting, if I am not, if I am getting the risky state, I can do vice versa. I can keep only I2 and I can delete I1, and I can again redraw the reachability graph, and I can analyze each and every state to identify whether each state is a risky state, any of the state is a risky state. And in that way, we can justify the essentiality of the both of the additional places. Otherwise, if we will get the security, we will get the safety assurance by keeping only one additional place. I will keep only one additional place and I will delete it. So let us try to do that. So if this is a reachability graph where I have considered only I1. I have not considered I2. Now again, I have analyzed the reachability graph, and I could find again there is a one risky state. So what I can do is I can consider only I2 and when I draw the state after considering only I2, you can see like now there is no risky state. And so this is the one optimization that we can do. Now let us talk something about the implementation aspect. Like real-time operating system, it provides a feature to application software through which the task can be prioritized. And here basically we'll have to perform these tasks, prioritization. So therefore the other way is to impose the precedence among the parallel transition to avoid the risk states. And is to enforce the firing of the transitions as per the defined priority. So the priorities, as I said, as we have seen, can be identified during the design phase itself by analyzing each and every state in the reachability graph. And so how we can, because we have to prioritize the TFAVO on TLCH. So what we can do, how we can inbuild the logic, the software logic, we can enforce the timing constraint in the design. And in case of our case study, the following this constraint must meet to avoid the risk state. So minimum of TTLCH must always be greater than maximum of TLFAVO, so that always this transition will get the priority, always. So, and this constraint must be checked by the hardware or the software logic as per the requirement. And if the system fails to meet this constraint, the logic must be built in the design so that the control reaches back to the originating state of the risk state and retry the processing meeting the same constraint. This is a very important logic that needs to be built. For example, if this constraint is failed, what we have to do, what action the software needs to do. So it should always preserve the history, the one history, last history, which is a safe state. So if the next state is now failing the safety constraint, it will just retain all the process variables of the past state so that it can ensure that all the time, even if it is not meeting the constraint, my system is in the safe state. So this logic can be achieved by the soft watchdog or the hard watchdog. And in case of hardware wired system or module, the hardware logic must send a periodic pulse to the watchdog. The moment this constraint, as we have discussed, fails, then it must stop the sending pulse. It must stop sending pulse to the watchdog. And the watchdog must maintain the current and the previous states, because in case of failure, it has to retain the previous state. So once the watchdog stops getting periodic pulse, it loads all the dynamic variables which are of previous states. And these are the implementation logic, because we are like implementing by deep analyzing, by deep thinking all the aspects for the safety assurance. Now, what could be the another possibility? That includes to reset the microprocessor IC through the reset pin. And this will reset the system state. And this watchdog can be implemented as a software watchdog We can name it as soft watchdog, or hardware also. We can name it as hardware watchdog. Similarly, in the case of software system or module, software must send a periodic pulse to the watchdog to process in the same manner as the hardware system does. Now, while talking to the safety, the story doesn't end here. We have to really put a lot of effort for analysis, for deep thinking, and try to automate the deep thinking. And we have to think with respect to the every possible threats. You can see like now the systems are IoTs and they are containing, the different processing nodes. One may be handling the embedded unit, and maybe different channels are there in the embedded units, and those channels are, interacting with each other to take some decision, to actuate some actuator, to show the status into the human machine interface. So there's a lot of IoT connectivities, and definitely it may be, if you are working in the remote side, it may be like through the virtual private networks, through the over the internet also. So there can also always be a possibility for the security threat, which also we need to deal, because if that can occur, it will have a potential to jeopardize, the safety. So for example, let us assume like the logic condition is created to trip the reactor and the embedded system closes the vent valves because of the bad overriding logic has come. So if the logic condition is created, as I said, it is always into the open state, like we have seen in the reachability graph, that logic condition was on hold condition, and then also the vent valve was showing in the closed state. So basically, it is can be considered as a bad logic or bad signal. It can override the closing logic. And how we can deal with such kind of scenarios? So we can identify, first is the identification, first is the diagnosis. We can identify by the consistent or inconsistent information in the redundant and main sensors, in both the sensors, which is basically representing the opening and closing state of the fast acting valves. So a logic must be built into the design that in either case the system treat that fast acting valve in a closed state and send the signal to open it immediately. So how it can be done? We can introduce a new safe state, TSAV. So here you can see the change into the model where I have introduced a new transition, TSAV, so that at all the time when logic condition is on the hold state, I will presume like, okay, my fast acting valve is in closed state, and I can pull out the token forcefully from that fast acting valve and try to put it in the fast acting valve within the open state, so that I can ensure all the times, like while logic condition is in hold state, it is always in the open state. So in this way, the fast acting valve can be ensured in the open state, and the information will become consistent. So looking at the design, again, there's a conflict of firing between the two transition FSAB and TSFABO, which can be also solved like we have done earlier. So to remove again this conflict, and for safety, it is necessary to impose a constraint which can guarantee the failure detection to wait until a consistent state is allowed. And for this, the following constraint again must hold. That is minimum of TFSFAB is always greater than maximum of TFABO. And now the design can again be validated by drawing the reachability graph of this modified PetriNet model. And you can see the resultant reachability graph is where we can see like there is no risky states. We have marked some of the end state by a circle embedded circle, solid circle, just to show like these are the end states, these are the possible output states, but those are the risky states. And so similarly, this analysis can be further investigated for more issues, and the analyst really have to take a call in what way he can ensure the safety of the system. And although it may be a time-taking process, but the much effort may be required, but the benefits overweigh them, looking from the safety perspectives. And when your system is very large, what you can do, you can identify some of the important functionality whom you want to ensure the safety, and you can model only that particular functionality, and you can implement that particular functionality in a different module, which can ensure at least which can improve your safety perspective. So in the conclusion, what the analysis can be done in parts also, maybe component by component or even function by function, in case the volume or the criticality of the function is much. And in this similar fashion, the analysis can be done for the component connectors as well. And one important aspect or the point that we should understand that all the risks will not have equal probabilities. So don't, you have to really choose a wise action. And you have to just prioritize. You should know like to prioritize the function according to the safety nature of those functions or the role of the safety roles that are being played by those functions. And accordingly, you will have to put the effort. You can decide like how much intense effort needs to be put to deal with it. And as we have seen, the optimization also plays a very important role, because we have seen after the modeling, after we have introduced 2 additional phases, then also there is a lot of scope for the optimization. In the first case, like we have seen, we can reduce the additional place. And next, we have also seen like we have also considered the security threat, if considering the IoTs and all IoT networks. And then we have to we had tackled it into the model, and then we have seen like how we can implement it into the software and hardware as in watchdogs. And in this way, like we can ensure if we are playing with the safety critical systems, how the safety analysis can be performed for those kind of systems. So these are the bibliographies. If anybody wants to know more and more in depth about the subject. So that's all I wanted to share, to discuss with you all. In case of any questions, I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
We request the participants to interact, and any questions here, please.
Participants, if any queries are there, please raise your hand so that we can unmute you people and you can ask your queries.
Lalit ji, as you said about the safety analysis for can we means it's mapped when we are building any kind of an IoT system or towards the IoT networks. Can you provide any kind of online links to go through that for much understanding? And
Yeah, I can share. I can share a couple of links and couple of papers also, if anybody will be interested. So I can share definitely the links and the related papers also. Yeah.
yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, Srinivas sir, you can ask your query, sir.
Lalitji, sir, you mentioned about Petrinet. So is this Petrinet is a open source software or what is it?
See, Patrinet is a mathematical formalism, as we were discussing. But there are the tools where we can model the Patrinets into the tool, and you can find the tools that include Petri. One is TimeNet and CPN also. CPN is basically for colored Patrinets, because if your system is more complex, basically you'll have to deal with the multiple colors of the tokens as well. So CPNs are also the tools. So these are the tools which are basically you can download, but you can only use the limited features. And if you want to use the more and more features, I think you have to take the license of it. But the student version and all, you can download it from the internet.
Lalitji, one more question is there in the chat box. That is, what is a watchdog?
Watchdog means like dog. What dog does? Dog is a kind of, he always look into, okay, something is threatening. Say if he finds some threatening signal, he will alert you by barking. So watchdog is like, for example, a generating a alarm, or for example, the watchdog is, for example, it confronts a very it is a smart watchdog. Basically, I'm talking about the smart watchdog. What it only not giving the alert, but it also takes the action. What action it was taking? When it sees like your system is reaching to the unsafe state, when we were trying to check the constraint which we have imposed, it was storing the previous dynamic variables, and it was also loading all the dynamic variables of the previous instance, so that it can always ensure your system is in the safe state. So it is a smart watchdog basically, and this thing you can implement either through the hardware logic or through the software logic.
Sir, Lalitji,
Yeah.
so many hackers are trying to hack our reactors now. How we protect it in safe manner?
Actually, there are multiple preventive measures that are being taken. The first one is the network is in the very virtual private network, which is a secure network, And virtual private network, in that also we have taken the lease line, so that there will be a very less probability to get any attack. But still, if any attack suppose has happened, for example, although we do have a lot of filters and all those systems basically which is taking care to see whether unwanted signal is coming, but then also we have to tackle it into the multiple other than this. So first is the security measure that we have to take. The second one is the validation of the system itself. Validation of the system itself means, now what wires will try to do? It will try to take the information, or it will try to corrupt the file, it will try to corrupt the values. For example, if we are dealing with the actuating the any actuators, so what we will do, and all the time we will try to, for example, there is an analog output module or digital output module, which is basically actuating the actuator. So we will write something. My software will always write something on the analog, on the digital output module periodically, and will read back, so that it can easily see, like if any thread has come from outside, it will always try to swap the bits, or it will always try to change the value of the bits. And if I know what I have sent, because it's a self-diagnostic feature basically that that we implement, so which we run periodically after half an hour or after 15 minutes, as an when depending on the system analyst. So we write our own bit into the relay output modules, and we read back. And read back is also one of the important factors which will try to see whether my bit is getting corrupted or not. And when it is getting corrupted, I will give a alarm conditions. We do have a separate alarms in the control rooms, which we can try to give the alarm conditions, and accordingly the necessary action has to be taken. And moreover, we always try to do our safety systems are always in the closed networks. They have never been in an open network. So what I was giving the example, that can only happen with the information system. That's it. Safety, then also it cannot jeopardize the safety, because safety is nowhere has any external interface at all. It is a very closed network. So in this way, with the system design, with the security measures, and by analyzing by the security standards, using security standards, the systems are being designed, the preventive measures are being taken, and in this way, there are the multiple layers of the security also, where we can deal with those kind of threats.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
This is Rajesh here. Thanks for your wonderful presentation. Basically, I have very fundamental questions on modeling using this PetriNet.
Okay.
I come across terminologies like nomenclatures like steady state transition and forward and backward state transition. Can we apply this PetriNet model for in general data analytics of any domain? Suppose if I want to implement using the A alpha plus B beta, like that, in a specific equation, what actually the steady state transition is all about, and is there any specific or thumb rule or to be considered when it comes to choosing the parameters for this designing a model using for this PetriNet?
Okay. So coming towards the modeling first, parameters in the sense, because every model has a parameters, and I said when I was discussing, I was introducing like the various milestones in the PatriNet. I was discussing there is a various flavors of the PatriNets, and depending on the your system requirement. For example, if you are interested in the timing information, it should give the timing information. Definitely, you have to use a different flavors of PatriNets. So there are the multiple flavors of the PatriNets, like colored PatriNets, generalized stochastic PatriNets, right? So accordingly, or timed PatriNets. So you have to understand. You have to go through the kind of PatriNets which can be suitable for your particular kind of domain. And then coming to the steady state analysis, there is one paper I do have. I can share my one paper which is published in Quality and Reliability Engineering International, Willy and Sons, and one is published in IEEE Transactions on Control Systems and Technologies. So where you will find like I have done the steady state analysis using PatriNets. And you can find like how the steady states, how the basically it can we can model the requirements, and we can do the steady state. Basically, we can like derive the algebraic equations, and we can analyze the the matrices basically, and we can like come to know like whether your state is in a steady state or not. So for that I can share, but definitely you can use that one, and it also provides the very Patrinets do have a very static properties also, and where which also you can utilize. Most of the analysis you can perform by understanding the properties of the Patrinets. So those also will help in some way to ensure the steady state of your particular system. So basically you can use it like almost in every domain in and you can do, because it is a mathematical concept, and you can derive lots of equations where you can come to know a lot of insights about the system. So definitely you will come to know. I think I do have one more session. So if you will be attending that session, probably I'll be discussing how we can perform the reliability analysis using PatriNet, the quantitative assessment of the reliability. So in this will it will gain the more and more confidence on this, and you can find like okay how it can be used for that particular purpose as well.
Sure, sir. Is it suppose I am taking the mean as one of the calculative part for one state to another state? I am calculating mean for a different state transition. Is it right to say that the mean which has been gained from one state to another in a forward state is similar to the mean which has been derived from the backward state? That is, suppose we are having state 1, state 2, state 3. If suppose if I am moving from state 1 to state 2, if I achieve a mean of 20, at the same time if I achieve the mean of say 15 from state 2 to state 1, it is backward transition. What actually this will imply actually? Is there any sort of conclusion which we can come around based on this forward and backward transition, Professor?
See, one thing is regarding your backward and forward transition. I don't think that is more important, because I don't think that you are going to derive anything. But ultimately, what I want to say is, or maybe it may be useful for you as a system analyst. You may be thinking with respect to your domain. If it is useful, definitely it will give the some of the quantitative assessment. But when you tell about the mean, as I said, when we are dealing with the safety critical system, we cannot rely on the mean or these kind of the parameters. The reason is based on these mean and all, if we take the decision and our decision is wrong, then basically it can lead to the severe disasters. So basically what we can do, like in the steady state analysis, we run this system for the infinite period of time, and we try to find out the steady state probabilities of the system. And steady state probabilities of the system basically gives a very significant conclusions in a way, like to assure okay, this your system is safe. But yes, if you are trying to probably know the response time, okay, going in one way or going in back way, if we are dealing with the, for example, control system and we want to perform some kind of analysis, probably those parameters may be useful in that sense basically. So you have to say, like, you have to see like in what basically what is your objective and in what way you are trying to utilize it. So you can utilize it from that point of view as well.
Lastly, in connection to that, is there any rule? Is there like that the forward state probability and the backward state probability should be similar, or it may be varying?
See, it may vary also depending. For example, I suppose I give a command. The human can give a command from the human machine interface, and which is not a real time system, for example, right?
Okay.
And it goes to the embedded system, which is a real time system. Now, when it goes to the embedded system, definitely my signal reaching to the embedded system definitely may take a fraction of seconds. But the embedded system, the frequency of acting the embedded system to derive the actuators may be very quick than my, uh, uh, because when I will be sent, definitely I may be having the human machine interface, which may be validating my signal, and then only it is passing to the embedded system, because ultimately the embedded system has to take some action based on this signal. And hence it is a like backward probability, so forward probability, forward transition, because I am giving, and response is a backward basically. So response could be very high, because ultimately it has to deal with the embedded system, and the actuator has to be actuated very quickly. As we have said, for example, in the shutdown system, the reactor has to shut down in fraction of milliseconds, for example 20 to 30 milliseconds. So it depends basically on the nature of the process and in what way basically. And generally what happens, like the forward transition is always a little, it will take little more time, because lot of validation also occurs, because if I'm passing the signal to other, definitely I will try to validate it. And the other person will always see like, okay, it has already been validation has already been done, and it will take the quick action. So generally, as a general trend, if I'm passing the signal, definitely, because I need to do the verification, you can see, like, you can correlate it very much with your design. Like the system design takes almost 40% of the time, where the implementation takes, let's say, 20% of the time, because you have already foolproofed everything during the design. You have taken care. So generally, like, the forward will take a little more time, and backward will take a little less time. Again, it is not a hard thumb rule, and it totally depends on the kind of the system you are dealing with.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Are you sharing the paper, steady state analysis paper, with the organizer, so that they can share it with in the Google Classroom or whatever the way they can share it with us?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
So I think no more questions. Then may I leave now?
Yes, sir. So any more questions from the participants? Okay. Yes, sir. I thank Lalit Kumar Singh ji for the immense guest talk in your busy schedule, sir. And for the slotted time, you are extended the explanation clearly and engaged the queries. And we are privileged for this entire session, sir. Thanking you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And tomorrow we have the session with Dr. Midhun Chakravarti. He is a professor, Faculty of Computer Science Multimedia from Malaysia, and he is going to give the presentation on natural language processing using NLTK as a demo version. So tomorrow the session, the link will be the same, and it is going to be shared with the Google Classroom. And the sessions sharply start at 10 a.m. and it continues till the 12 p.m. Thanking you, the participants, and you can fill the feedback form, and any more suggestions or the queries, you can directly communicate with the Telegram and WhatsApp groups and the Google Classroom links. Thank you for patient listening and joining us and making this event a grand success. Thank you, Lalit sir, for the gracing this event and for your guest session. Thank you very much, sir. I request the host to end the meeting.